Japan is considered as one of the most energy-efficient countries. When it comes to energy-saving devices, the nation leads the world. Last month, Japan introduced eco-point incentives as part of a plan to promote energy-efficient houses. Homeowners can receive eco-points worth up to about $3,300 when building new houses or renovating existing homes with energy-efficient heating or cooling systems. The points can be exchanged for shopping vouchers, prepaid gift cards, or about 500 different kinds of local goods. They can also be used for new home renovations. The program aim is to cut power consumption, a major part of the country's policies to save energy. Today we'll examine some of the latest trends in eco-homes and how they influence the industry and the way we live. Joining us in our studio is Professor Takahashi Inoue from the Tokyo University of Science. He's an energy conservation expert for buildings, and he will also provide simultaneous translation today. Professor Inoue, thank you very much for coming today. So how has the Japanese government promoted energy conservation?
Well, initially, it was after the first oil shock in the 1980. Energy-saving standard was set up for houses. And after the second oil shock in 1992, the standard was revised. And because of the global warming issue, in 1999, another standard was made. The standard was made more stringent. And in 1999, the standard was raised to as high as the West. But the problem was the implementation. The standard was not implemented so much. But lately we're seeing a surge in the implementation of the standard. The latest standard came in 2008. Ever since then, the facility and the building framework were both evaluated for their primary energy use. And with this, and eco points were also evaluated in addition.
So we want to have a look at an example of eco-housing technology that's new to Japan now. This modern building is part of a revolution in the making. It heats itself in winter by making use of sunlight and body heat, and cools itself in summer, hence the name passive house. A super thick wall is one of the key elements of the passive house. The house frame is covered with 30-centimeter insulation from the roof to the floor. Walls have different insulation layers, such as wood fiber insulation or plasterboard, that seal the house completely. They create a virtually airtight envelope. The inner wall's surface is covered by a special membrane. It allows minimal moisture to pass through. Mold has little chance to grow inside the wall. Another important feature is a well-insulated window. Besides shutting out noise from the outside, it also saves energy. Triple-sheet glass windows filled with argon gas insulates heat from inside and outside, and it keeps the interior climate stable. With such an airtight building envelope, additional heating and cooling is not needed. The interior temperature stays around 21 degrees all year round. This ventilation system with a heat exchanger is the heart of the passive house technology. Air from the outdoors and indoors are constantly drawn into the unit without mixing. When they pass by each other, it simply transfers only heat energy between the new and old air, reducing the need for air conditioning. Taro Hasumi describes his living experience in Japan's first passive house.
We have cut the electricity bill in half. It's not just a house, more like a device to create a comfortable environment to live.
This passive house model has been built for a scientific study. Over 200 sensors were being placed outside and inside. They aim to verify if the passive house technology, initially invented in Germany, also works in Japan's climate. Associate Professor of Kyoto Institute of Technology, Hideki Shibaike, simulates a household of an elderly couple, including their use of energy and body temperatures.
I believe the passive house idea very sure in winter. However, in summer, we do need some experimental or numerical evaluation to make sure the passive house more effective for our climates.
The builder, on the other hand, has started examining 3 types of external wall materials. Costs for importing insulation, window frames and ventilation add to the bill. To cut building costs, they are considering alternative materials that are available domestically. Despite high initial costs, the president of builder Haishima Kogyo is optimistic about the market potential.
Japanese rebuild their houses in a single generation. It becomes a vicious circle. Lowering house bills and building a longer-lasting home will make people more affluent.
Norbert Baumann is confident about the passive house. He's a representative from German eco-building material supplier.
Additional heating is not necessary. The energy comes actually passive from the sunlight, from the people itself, and some other electrical appliance you usually have in a house, like television, refrigerator, light, and so on.
According to the builder, up to 75% of energy costs can be saved in a passive house per year. Improving the use of primary energy sources is essential for the future of Japan's housing market. So, Professor Inoue, how do you see the future of the passive house?
Well, especially from the Japanese perspective, well, historically, even in the classic literature, Japanese houses were built based on summer conditions. The focus was on how to be comfortable in the hot temperature and humidity. And so there was a lot of shading from the sunshine so that it would be comfortable in the summer. But in winter, we would need insulation. And so the passive solar house, generally speaking, will have to acquire sunshine and at the same time have good insulation and also to have a thermal storage. That's the 3 basics for the passive house. But in Japan, the question is to be comfortable even in the summer. So we will need to see the shading and also ventilation would be very important. So if we want to make all these compatible, then we would need to have a high-performing window.
Tell us about other latest developments in Japan.
Well, in case of Japan, well, compared to EU countries and the United States and Canada, what is different is that the energy consumption amount is about half or even 1/3. And the difference is the energy consumed for heating. When we look at the heating energy, the people in the West use more or double or more times than the Japanese. So in Europe, the heating system, the saving energy for heating, it will be very important. But in case of Japan, so we cannot conserve more energy by just looking at the heating system, but we'll have to look into water heating system, which we consume more than a double of energy for shower and bath. So how to reduce water heating energy? Now, something that we have to do is, of course, solar water heater and also heat pumping using CO2 as a coolant. EcoCute system is now being developed in Japan, and also insulated